So as we continue, Formula 9, Formula 10, and these again are more hints than formulas, and you'll notice that these are similar to our slope-intercept form. Our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Well, this is y something mx plus b. And this something I'm referring to is an inequality system, inequality sign. And we see that here too. Now there are 4 inequality signs: greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So here we see greater than or equal to. So I'm going to give you some background on how to graph these. And basically when you start to graph, you use that technique in which you plot the y-intercept first, which is our b, which is a positive 1. We then go to our slope, which is 2. And then remember, that's 2 over 1. It's positive, so we're going to go over 1 and then up 2. Now, the next part is typically you just make a solid line. But here and there's a little difference. And when you do your math lab practice, what you have to choose when there is, well, when there are these 2 signs, this is going to be a solid line. When it's just greater than or less than, this is going to be a dotted line. And that tool is available for you from the tool palette on the graph. So here, which one are we going to choose? Well, it will be the solid line. So we're going to do a solid line through that. And that's sort of the basic part of our graph. And that would be if it were equal. But here it says greater than. Y is greater than. So we have to do some shading. And one of the rules that I mention to my students is if a positive y is greater than, you're going to shade above the line. Okay? Now, one of the hints the textbook gives, and we want to mention here too, and let me just change colors for a moment, is to use what is called a trial point. A trial point would be something like this. You put a dot right there, and the coordinates of that point would be a 0, 0. Well, we then put that into this equation. So they're saying y is 0, so that would be 0, is less than or equal to 2 times 0 is 0, so this becomes 0, and this is a 1. So we have basically the statement, 0 is greater than 1. 0 is greater than 1. Is that true? And you think on it and you say, no. So this is not the area where you shade. You shade on the other side of the line. Because if you shaded here, that's not true. And that's the other test. So let's do this one over here. Again, this is practice on how to graph. And we have our y-intercept right there as 2. Our slope is 3 over 1. It's positive, so I'm going to go over 1. And then now my rise is up 3. But notice we have just an inequality sign and no equal. So what kind of line are we going to use? Well, dotted, and that's a choice you have. But now we have to determine where do we shade. Well, if we use that special technique, a positive y is less when a positive y is less, we would shade under the line. And going to our trial point. Again, a good one is 0, 0. So if this is 0, and this is 0, and this is 2, is 0 less than 2? Yes, 0 is less than 2. Our trial point is in the correct place. That makes it a true thing. The other thing I want to mention about inequalities is that as you look at inequalities, all of these points that are up here are solutions. If you just have an equal, the only points are the ones along the line. But when you have an inequality, all these points are true as well. So your bucket of paint, that's kind of a fun thing that we have in math lab. You have to pour that paint, you have to have the right line, and you have to have graph the equation correctly, or the inequality.